Hi everyone, thanks for visiting my channel Crocheting Around My Kitchen Table. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and turn on those notifications so you know when I upload a new video. This video I call a Fidget Sensory Stress Ball. We're going to be using super bulky yarn, and we'll talk about that in the materials list. In our materials list, we're going to be using this particular type of yarn, which is a chenille type of yarn. It's very soft. You can use it for hats, baby blankets, and it's not that difficult to work with if there's space in between the stitches. When you have stitches side by side, it becomes a little bit more difficult, and you do have to figure out where you're going to insert the hook from the previous row. And making a chain and then making a stitch into that chain is not easy. But once you make it, it is so wonderful to feel and to look at. It's very inviting. That's all I gotta say. This particular brand that I'm using right now is Bernat Baby Blanket. They have so many colors, and we're going to be using the color of Morning Glory. It is super bulky. There are different super bulky that you can use if you don't want to use the chenille. We're going to need a G hook, scissors, and just a needle. Let's get started. So we're going to begin by making a magic circle. I'm going to use 3 fingers this time so that I can make a larger magic circle because this is thicker yarn. I'm going to use my picky finger to hold that left yarn down so I can quickly grab it and make a little twist. I'm going to pinch it between my fingers so that I can weave in the working yarn to my hand, and we're ready to go. So we're going to chain 3, chain 1, 2, 3. So you can see it's very difficult to see when you're working with this yarn, but it feels so amazing that it is totally worth it making these stress balls. We're going to place 25 half double crochet in this magic circle, and that's 1, yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull through. There's 3 loops, and pull through all 3. As you see, it is very difficult to tell where your stitches stop and start, but it's so fluffy and feels so good that you can actually feel between each. I'm going to make a couple of more. You can see that the V-stitches are almost indiscernible. You start falling into each other, and it's not out of focus. This is how fluffy and squishy this yarn can be. It's very plushy. So we have that chain 3 we started off with. And you can see that there are stitches in there, but you're not sure where they stop and start. So I like to feel around for them. So here's that first half double. Here's that second one. Here's that third one. And here's that fourth one. When we do 25, it's going to be difficult, but if you feel around for them, then you can definitely keep count of it. And the initial count in this magic ring is very important to make that ball. If you want it looser, obviously you can always adjust the pattern to make less stitches into the magic ring. I will meet you back here when I'm ready to do my 25th half double crochet, and then we'll talk about how we're going to pull this yarn tail. So I wanted to show you I'm halfway through, and this yarn tail is getting smaller and smaller. I don't really want you to pull this because even though this yarn is thick, it is fragile in that it can tear easily. So what I like to do is I like to hold on to the tail and the circle and just push the stitches closer together. And this curve is actually what we want. We don't want it to lay flat, but we're pushing it closer and closer together. And now you have more room to work with. the rest of your stitches. Okay, so I've reached number 25. Okay, I'm going to take out my hook, because what we're going to do is we're going to start closing this up just a little bit more so it looks like a scrunchie. So I take the tail, I hold on to the middle, and I start sliding the stitches just a little bit more towards each other. And I start pulling this a little bit more just to take up the slack. I start pulling, pushing just a little bit further, taking up more slack. And it starts closing up a little bit more. I don't want to close it all the way because I want to see where the third chain is so I can place a slip stitch in there. My working yarn. To close out this round, we're just going to place a slip stitch at the top of that chain 3. Here's that first half double. Just go to the left of it. Things are so close together that you really can be very free with where you place your stitches. And that ends our first round, 25 half double crochet. On to round 2. In round 2, we're going to place 2 chain from that slip stitch, and then we're going to place 5 half double crochet in the same space. 1, 2, 2, 3, and you can see it starts making a little space for you so you can do the rest of your stitches. 4 and 5. And I like to do 5 half double crochet. You can obviously make a looser stress ball by doing 3 or 4, whatever you're comfortable with. It definitely is a workout. And then in the next one, that was the chain 3. In the next one, we're just going to place into the next half double crochet 5. So in each stitch on this round, we're going to place 5 half double crochet. And I just follow where I place the last stitch. Because everything is so put together tightly here, you can place the 2 into that top part of the stitch right here, or just in the space. It should be just fine, because the idea is just to make that tight little ball happen. And you can start at the top here and then just follow through. It does make a nice little space for you after placing 5 in there. And just continue on that way around. I like to do the first 5, and then I'm going to come back and show you how I finish closing up this circle. So you can see how it starts creating these little waves, just like the scrunchie pattern I have. And that's essentially what's going to come together because it's tight to make that cute little fidget stress ball. What I'm going to do is close this magic circle, because once it starts getting tighter and tighter, this becomes very hard to weave in. And I'm just going to tighten it a little bit, not too tight because, or too hard. I can't yank on it too hard because this rips very easily. The chenille may be thick, but it is very fussy to close and weave in sometimes because it can tear when you pull too hard. So I'm going to help it along by just placing it underneath a few more stitches. Pulling out that tail. I like doing a long tail, and I'm just going to press these stitches further apart. It starts closing that up pretty tightly. I push the stitches together me as much on here. It's nice and tight, so I'm going to start weaving in just to make sure it stays that way. It can be very tricky, this yarn, to work with. If you're working with small stitches, tight stitches, I just push it. I don't try to yank on this yarn here. Like I said, it can tear. So now that it's nice and tight, I'm going to just weave it in at least. I'm going to pass it back and forth at least 6 times. I usually give these to kids, so I want them picking at the tail and unraveling it, because then they have just a pile of spaghetti yarn if they can get a hold of it pretty good. Like I said, it can be very tricky to work with. Got loose again on me. Okay. I'm gonna anchor it in so it stops moving. And I just pass it through a few more times. If you want to, you can probably try to knot it as well. And then we will finish up round 2. So here I am. I've finished closing off that circle and trimming off that tail. This is why I like to wait, because it gets very tight and then you have to feel around where the stitches are. There's 2 in there, and I'm going to place another 3. And it does start getting tighter and tighter, but you can see where the stitches are, or you can feel around with your fingers where the next one is. And if you skip one, no one's going to be the wiser anyway. So I've placed 5 in there, and I'm going to continue on until this row ends right here. You can see it too, because it has this very distinctive ending right here. I'll meet you back at the very last stitch. Okay, so we're here at the end, and I'm going to place my last half double in this last stitch. You can see it's very tough to get through here because it's very, very tight. I prefer it that way, but you know, it's however you like it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish this round by placing it into that first half double crochet, skipping over that chain 2. Then I'm going to fasten off. Leave it a little bit long so I can weave in my ends. And there is your Fidget sensory stress ball. So I've woven in all the ends, and here is our stress ball. It's a little bit looser than I'm used to, because I wanted a little bit looser tension so you could see what I was doing with the stitches. This is all rated the same with the chenille, super bulky, but as you can see, you get different sizes with different tensions. And this one is a little bit fluffier than this one. I think this one was made at a different time, because this feels a little bit smoother and less fluffy than this one. These are made from 100% polyester, super bulky, that chenille. I made one out of acrylic, but you could see where it's smaller. I mean, it's still handheld. You could probably do a 3rd row. However, when you do that, you're putting 4 into each one of those, and you already have 125 or so on the 2nd row. So that means you're going to be crocheting about 400 plus more stitches just to get a bigger ball. I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial. Thanks again for visiting my channel, Crocheting Around My Kitchen Table. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Turn on those notifications so you know when I upload a new video. Thanks again for watching.